Yeah, that's fair.
They crawled all over my head the last time we were.
Oh, I bet.
They were like,
understand
all over,
personal
like,
space.
woo!
We're going in their space. I get it. Not bad.
Take a seat on one of the white chairs right over there.
Okay. Nice try.
She definitely has control of them.
Okay, here, jump in the water. Need something to jump in the water.
All right,
Hello,
so couple quick ground rules. No squeezing or constraining the animals. I can do that. I'm their surrogate mom.
Yeah.
They definitely love to be pet and really like scratched, and just any kind of kind interaction. If they do try and stick their tongue in your nose or your mouth, just gently push their head down. We don't want them to do that. They're susceptible to a lot of the same things we are.
Sure.
Also, no pushing, no kicking, no shoving. If they do something that makes you uncomfortable, let me know. I'll be happy to redirect them. Here at Big Cat Habitat, we believe very strongly in positive reinforcement. So that means that we don't necessarily reprimand the animals, we redirect them into a more favorable behavior. And if you're scratching just right, you may feel some reciprocal grooming going on where they take their bottom jaw and drag it against your skin.
Okay.
So let me introduce this special guest. So this is Miss Sandy. She was born the beginning of May this year. They're gonna knock that over, so
Oh yeah, surely.
I wouldn't plan on keeping that in
I'm
place.
putting
Putting it so I can get a shot of
Yeah.
Sam with it.
You're so beautiful. Not my nose. Not my nose. You can get that nose.
Oh,
Hi, buddy. Oh,
No, we can just take her.
Tina's being
that's fine.
a loner today. She'll come over in a minute when
That's
she sees the
alright.
treats. She was munching on a biscuit when I went to get her. So
Oh, interrupted.
she's not as hungry as she normally is.
That's fine.
So Miss Tina, she's about a year and a half old. She was born last year between April and May.
Wow.
Miss Sandy here, she was born here at Big Cat Habitat
Hello.
in April, in the end of, beginning of May. She has two brothers that were born here last year who were born on April 18th, around the same time as Miss Tina. And they are in the park now. You can actually see them playing in there. They're in the enclosure right next to our pony ride, so it's really cute. You can see them all playing together. Miss Sandy did just get introduced into the troop about 2 months ago, and she's thriving in there. We're very happy to have her in a group that she's really loving.
hello. What is that?
She's very curious.
Well, you said fair game.
Yep.
Hi, cutie.
That's gonna be a shot there. As close as you can get to a lemur without getting your eyeballs wet.
Yep. So there are over 100 different species of lemur, with unfortunately 34 of those actually sitting on the critically endangered species list. Both the red ruff lemur and the black and white ruff lemur are critically endangered. The reds are doing a little bit worse than the black and whites, and that's most likely because they have a slightly smaller range than the black and whites. The black and whites are up and down the eastern coast of Madagascar, whereas the reds are in the northeastern portion of Madagascar. There is an area between their two habitats called the hybridization zone, where there are all different species of lemurs joined, having little lemur hybrids creating little lemur hybrids. With that being said, you can crossbreed a red ruff lemur to a black and white ruff lemur, and you get what's called a tricolor. Due to the fact that it is a hybrid, that is not ideal for conservation, so we do our best efforts to avoid that from happening, since these guys are part of a conservation program. Yes. You'll notice that Miss Sandy's fur, it's a little bit silkier than Miss Tina's fur, and I'll say that's pretty common for the black and whites versus the reds. The reds tend to have a little bit of a silkier fur. So that marking she did get from her dad.
The tail.
Her dad has a ring around the base of his tail. Neither one of her brothers got that marking though, and they all have the same mom and dad.
How's it going? Well, you were very light.
That's their favorite spot. And if you get it just right, they'll stretch that arm up out of the way, and you know you're doing it just right.
Yeah, Mr. Popularity over
I'm
here.
new game here.
You got the most interesting
Sometimes,
stuff.
but I don't recommend it. With proper licensing and permitting, you can. But there's a lot that goes into that. And unfortunately, people that do get these guys as pets, a lot of times have them singular. And they're a very social animal, as you can see.
Oh, yeah.
They really need that troop atmosphere. And even with your best
hand it
intentions of
down.
spending all your time with them, you really can't. spend 24/7 meeting a lemur's needs. You have your own work obligations, family obligations, your own social needs. You need to meet emotional needs.
Right.
You can't spend 24/7 meeting a lemur's needs. And then in those cases, a lot of times they end up sending a friend or a family member to the ER for stitches once they hit maturity. So Miss Tina over here, she's into her late teenage years, it would be considered.
Oh yeah.
That's why you'll know she has a little bit of an odor where Miss Sandy does not. And that's very normal. The females definitely have an odor, and the males don't tend to be too smelly.
Wow, what was that all
So that's
about?
just because you can notice that the leaves are making more noise with the air.
Yeah.
So an animal that is a prey animal, obviously the wind affects our hearing, it affects theirs as well. So we're going to be on a little bit more high alert when it gets a little breezier, because if there was a predator, it would make it harder for them to hear that.
That tracks.
Are you scenting the ground? Do you think it needs to smell like you? As you guys noticed when I brought you over, we did have a capybara encounter going on in here. So
Oh, yeah. A little bit of residual.
she may do a little scenting here and there to be like, no, this is my area. It needs to smell like me.
Yeah, that's pretty
Come on,
reasonable.
Sandy. But you will notice that Tina has a tendency to do a lot more scenting than Sandy does. And that's just because she's already getting to that stage where she will be going into estrus. They don't typically reproduce until they're about 2 years old, though. It can happen, but it's very unlikely.
How many do they have when they?
So believe it or not, the rough lemur is the only litter-bearing primate on the planet. So they do follow the rules, typically one half the number of mammary glands a mammal has. That's going to be their average litter size. These guys have 6 mammary glands, so hypothetically they can have and support up to 6 at once.
Wow.
But they typically will have between 2 to 4 each time.
Oh, okay.
That seems more manageable.
Yeah.
And how big are they when they are
So
born?
the fact that their mom had 2 sets of twins.
Oh.
Just hanging out.
Thank you.
How large are the babies?
So they're
when
only
they're
about this big.
You don't say.
They're only about this
Hi.
big. They have
Doing
long
fine.
tails, they have gigantic hands, and their eyes are open right after birth.
Oh, they are?
Hi, cutie.
I see what you're saying about
Oh, I
their
love
hands.
them.
Did you show them your fruit bed and scorching?
Somebody told me.
So you'll notice that they do have opposable thumbs, not only on their hands, but also those hind feet too. And in the wild, they would hang down like this from the branch. Use these hands to pick the right fruit off of the branch, and then go on up and use their very sharp canines that they have to get through the thick rind of the naturally grown fruit that they're used to in Madagascar. These guys in the wild are considered to be frugivorous, so that means that they eat fruits, flowers, nectar, some leaves, and bamboo shoots, but primarily the fruit and the nectar. They are pretty much solely to thank for keeping the traveler palms going in Madagascar. They're the only animal that can open the pods in order to release that pollen.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Now, when they're going from flower to flower to get the nectar out, the pollen does have a tendency to collect around their muzzle, but it also collects on the rest of their fur. So as they leap through the treetops, they also disperse the pollen that way too. I'm very careful not to stand underneath.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
Before we used to have posts in the middle of here, and it wasn't so much of an issue. Now we have to be a little bit careful where we stand because Miss Tina, she's only about 75% of the way potty trained.
Yeah.
She did go over there earlier,
A little
but
bit right
like
there,
I said,
too.
she was munching on a biscuit. Usually we close the door to the food area like about an hour before an encounter, and they forgot to do that today.
That's okay.
So, but that's because these guys have a really fast metabolism, and within about 15 minutes of eating, it's kind of triggering the last couple meals that they have in that digestive tract to kind of start evacuating.
Right, make
There
some
is
room.
nothing wrong with being regular, okay? So they do go to the bathroom quite a bit, and as you can notice, it is a very loose excrement. That is ideal. Pancake batter, that's kind of the consistency we're looking for with these guys. Because in the wild, they're also seed spreaders, so when it hits the ground, it really needs a splatter to spread and replant those
Awesome.
seeds. So it serves a purpose, the reason it's like that. And they say there's about 65% of the nutrients still
You're
left
very
in it.
handsome.
You're really liking those leaves today for some reason. I gave you a bunch of leaves in your food. since they've moved into the park, there are a few other people that are helping to assist with some of their caretaking tasks. That's not 100% on me anymore, which I'm very happy about because I have a lot of other work I need to get done. But I still do prepare all of their food to make sure they're getting the stuff they need.
She likes you.
She's a very big cuddler, especially if you scratch her just right.
Some kind of a band on?
So yep, that green golf cart right over there, they do ride on the golf cart, so they do walk on leashes. Tina's better about actually walking on her leash, whereas the Reds, they like to be carried on their leashes. They like to just hang out and be held as we walk. Whereas Tina, she's more independent. She likes to explore and walk quickly.
Incoming.
Now, right?
Good girl.
It's good to see you too.
Good girl. So we try not to do too many treats throughout the beginning part of the encounter because we don't want that digestive tract being triggered as much. But somebody was being a little bit of a piggy when I went over there and she had a mouthful of food.
You don't want to eat that.
So the reason they are called a ruffed lemur is this hair that goes from ear to ear and under the chin. That is their ruffed collar. And she has a very nice fluffy ruffed collar. She's very fluffy.
It's so light.
Will she jump?
Come here.
Will she see him?
These guys do get a special
No,
design
enjoy
diet,
her.
So they get a lot of
Enjoy her.
leafy greens. They get high glycemic vegetables like sweet potato, corn, carrots. And then they also get they really love celery and cucumber, so they get that mixed into sugar snap peas. And then they'll get mixed berries from time to time, papaya, apples, depending on what we get in on our food trucks. So these guys don't groom with their hands, actually. They use their mouths.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to do that.
They're not technically a monkey. They're a prosimian. So they come before the monkey in the evolutionary breakdown. With that being said, they do say that they're not quite as intelligent as a monkey.
Oh, thank
It's just a more primal intelligence. So they use their...
What you looking for?
A monkey would use their hands for things like feeding themselves and grooming, whereas these guys use their mouths for those types of things. So on their bottom jaw, they have what's known as a comb tooth and 6 separate teeth all lined up real close together, just like a comb. And they're going to scratch that along and kind of comb any imperfections out.
Okay. Cool.
Also, unlike a monkey who would pick the food up, they just kind of stick their face in the food and eat. Can we not, please? Can we not? Thank you.
Are they nocturnal?
These are not. These are day dwellers. Now, there are some species of lemurs who are nocturnal. Those are going to be more like your eye-eyes and stuff like that. We also do have some ringtails here at Big Cat Habitat, which are the ones that people are a little more commonly aware of. The ringtails are obviously, they have rings around their tails. They are more of an omnivore, so they're eating all kinds of things, and their excrement is solid.
Okay.
Butt
Yeah.
scratch.
They get a lot of fiber in their diet.
These guys get a lot more fiber than the
Those do?
ringtails
Oh,
do.
is that right? Okay.
That's probably why it is so loose, because they get so much fruit and fiber.
Okay.
Whereas the ringtails, they might be eating like little bugs and eggs. They're
Oh,
getting a
okay.
higher protein,
Protein.
intake.
Yeah.
Yep. I do give these guys things like almonds and different nuts and stuff to make sure they're getting a protein. Plus, they have a specially designed primate biscuit that they receive, which has crude fats and protein added into it as well. To
Okay.
make sure they're getting all their needs. That's why their coats are so beautiful and fluffy.
Yeah, they really are.
Hi. Hi. It's good to see you too.
Looking out. Looking out.
She's like, where were you? You were backing up, and she was like watching. Where are you going?
Like I said, I'm surrogate mom, so
You're my person.
both her and her brothers stayed with their mom till they were about 5.5, 6 weeks old. At that point, their mom was kind of done, and
Just get out
she's
there.
just like done. So then I get to take on the task of taking care of them. So yes, she's always aware of where I am.
Yeah.
And you'll notice when we go to take you guys up to the
There's
front gate, if I don't take these guys right away, they'll start doing their territory call because they're like, where do you think you're going? This is not our home. Right? They're a little bit spoiled. And my ringtails that I had under my care who are back on the conservation property, they were in with these guys. But unfortunately, they were not accepting little Miss Sandy into the troop very well. So we did have to separate the ringtails out. It is not super common to have 3 different species of lemurs living in the same enclosure copacetically. We introduced our ringtails in with our slightly older adolescent troop when everybody was a lot smaller. They were all babies, so they all accepted each other really well. When we tried to introduce Miss Sandy into the troop, it did not go well. The roughs were great with her, but the ringtails did not like her. So they got separated out because there are 2 of them, so that way they wouldn't be alone.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. to get the
So what did they
friendship thing happen.
try to bite her? Or what did
They
they
were
do? Or
just-
just push her away?
They were just being very aggressive towards her, so we didn't do any unsupervised interactions between them. We had to keep keepers in there the whole time, and it just did not work out.
Oh, it's the wind.
But when we did separate them out, the people who were taking care of the ringtails had a little bit of a hard time getting them to eat because they didn't realize you have to hand feed them their first piece of food because they're really spoiled. Because I always go in there and I feed them, and then I clean while I'm in there, but I would hand each lemur a piece of food, so they got really used to that. So now they've adjusted to not getting hand fed their first piece of food. So they're very spoiled.
Yeah, well, they're cute. How
It's
hard
probably
is it?
easy to not realize that you're establishing a pattern too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I talked through it, I was like, okay, so what are they doing? I was like, okay. Oh yeah, you gotta hand feed them their first piece.
They're gonna be expecting that.
Yeah, they expect that connection.
Yeah.
What are you eating over there? Get over here. So I'm gonna give everybody some treats. I do ask that we only have one lemur per lap for this part, because we don't want them to argue over food. If they do argue over food, just lift your hands up out of the air. They're gonna just argue amongst themselves and they'll fall off your lap. Okay?
Okay.
It's got nothing to do with us.
Nope, nothing at all. So today you guys are giving them Honeycrisp apple. It is their favorite.
Well, hello.
Oh, she's looking for craisins because she's picky. Just let them have it. Don't try and hold it from them. Hey, Sandy, you want some treats?
Oh, that's
Or are you
pretty
gonna sit
good.
over there and
Yeah,
eat
you can
acorns?
Hold my hand right there.
Treat, treat.
Smell good.
Treat treats.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
Some good stuff.
And who has the best phone?
We got two over here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll take your phone. So that way we can get some group shots.
Okay.
Yeah. She's got a whole stash here. Oh, yeah. It's good, isn't
I never knew this is here. I'm coming every week.
Right?
Is this the best thing ever?
Is that good?
Alright, everybody look up at me and smile.
Sam has some.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, it's happy day.
Oh, yeah.
Yum, yum, yum.
They do like to hold your hand as they're eating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell. Oh, you're just in for it today.
Yeah. Don't want it to go away.
5 people.
Good, isn't it?
Don't
Hey, Tina,
move.
can we come over here?
No, she has to finish it first.
Oh, it's all good.
Go that way.
Can't move. Eating.
No, it's just because if little Miss Sandy goes to jump on her,
Mm-hmm.
she sometimes gets a little mouthy.
Well, it's all gone.
Here, Sandy. I've got some. Yeah. Yeah.
That is such a cute sound.
So, like I said, Tina was munching away on some biscuits when I got over there. So they're definitely not hungry. They do have access to food all day long. Like I said, sometimes we will close the feeder door for about an hour, but that's
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's definitely not a lack of food. They just
You
really
don't
love
close your
Honeycrisp
mouth
apples,
when
so
you
they
chew.
do get apples as part of their meal.
Yeah.
But we don't do any. I try to not do any Honeycrisp apples, especially days that we're open to the public because they might have encounters. So that way we can give them a treat that is a high fiber treat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, goodness. There you go.
She's like, bring that to me, please.
It's okay.
There's a whole handful over here.
Yeah. I'm going to
You
keep
can
it there.
have it. Wow, you got a good grip, girl.
Right. Very nice hand.
Good thing Lady doesn't have this grip.
Oh. Here's one more, Sandy.
So you'll notice that Tina's teeth are a lot more visible. When these guys are full grown, they do grow in very large canines
Oh.
that hang down below their lip. And they are razor sharp. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the encounter, sometimes these guys may send our friend or a family member to the ER for stitches. So I think another thing that we do here, a little different than a lot of other places, we are very careful not to eat around our lemurs. Because we don't want them to see us as competition for food.
No.
So that's why, like I said, you don't have to worry about if they argue amongst each other for food. It's not ever directed at us. It's directed at each other
Right.
because they don't see us as competition for
Two
food.
more down there. Here are two more pieces. Oh, three. Yeah.
See if Mark.
Sandy.
Hello.
Sandy, okay.
I'm gonna hand him to Mark. Maybe she'll go that way.
Over there.
Baby.
You're not even gonna look over there.
Here's Cindy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
You saw that big head throwback, so they don't really have a super strong swallowing mechanism, so they kind of like gravity help them out with that.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. You told us that. last
Even
night.
though, believe it or not, they actually have
Yes,
two
I don't
tongues.
have any.
Two
But I'm happy to
Yeah.
hold your hand.
There's one.
You got one more piece. One more tiny piece.
Are there peacocks over there? No, we don't peacocks. It's not.
There you go. There's
Yeah,
a
I don't, my,
Hi.
I'm
see
on
you.
empty, Sandy.
I love your
All right.
hands. Your hands.
I know, aren't they so
They
sweet?
feel so
Hi,
interesting.
Kitty.
They
Here.
almost feel like the easiest way I
Hi.
can explain it to somebody is they feel like a golf glove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That suede,
Velvety.
like
Yeah.
suede
Yeah.
golf.
Leather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're super soft. You will notice on their hind leg. Can I show them your footsies, please? Thank you. So you'll see on their hind leg, they have one claw that is longer than the rest. We don't trim their claws or file them. They maintain that themselves really well. But that's called their toilet claw. And
Okay.
it's not for while they're going to the bathroom. It's grooming. So the Madagascarian dialect is very French inspired because of settlers. So that's where that got its name.
Yeah.
Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? Their tail tends to be about a third longer than their body. When they're full grown, they're about 2 feet from crown to rump. So Tina's almost full grown. She'll get slightly longer, but not too much more. But she will fill out a little
I
bit more.
love that
So when they're
noise.
full grown, anywhere from about 8 to 12 pounds is considered healthy. If you're, some cases you will get up into the 15-pound range. You really got to watch them closely at that, because if they do get that big, they're just like we're susceptible to diabetes. They are highly susceptible to diabetes, and especially with that frugivorous diet, you really have to be careful with it.
I don't know anywhere else.
And does it?
I know another facility had a rough lemur who their regular caretaker was out for a while, and she went back and
Come on.
she's like, my lemur is obese. I don't know what to do. I was like, okay, well, tell me what your diet's looking like. She's getting like, oh, he's getting 3 bananas. I was like, cut back on the bananas. Too much sugar. And she did that, and he dropped the weight right away. And
Yeah.
he in general is a very large lemur. Don't get me wrong. Her lemur is a very large lemur, the one that was in concern. But he was,
Obese.
yes, he was obese. But we were able to fix it real fast. Within about a month, they got him down to pretty close to his normal weight,
Oh, that's awesome.
just by kind of altering that.
They don't have
just limiting
bananas in
that sugar.
Madagascar, do they?
Bananas grow really well pretty much everywhere. So for
Well, I mean,
primates,
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty sure they do.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Yeah.
So they would
'cause-
eat that in the wild.
Yeah, they would mostly get mango.
Yeah.
That's like one of their favorite things. But bananas are one of those like perfect foods that you can basically live on. So we do 1 banana per lemur per day typically.
Okay.
If we have a lemur we want to put some weight on, we're gonna up that because it'll get
Yeah.
a lot on them real fast. But because ours, now if ours were only getting that, they would get more. But ours get such a wide variety of different seasonal fruits because we have some amazing supporters like Whole Foods, Fresh Market, the Costco Plant Palmetto. So we get a ton of produce donated. We don't get a lot of meat. We are getting some now and then, but we do get a lot of produce donated on a daily basis. So they get a lot of seasonal food. So the stuff that they're getting is pretty good, very nutrient dense. It's meeting all those needs. Thank you for at least going over there, but that's not what we want. I want you over at the branch, sweetheart. That is what we like to affectionately refer to as the bathroom branch.
Yeah.
But like you saw, so she just ate, so
Yeah.
it's a little less than
Trigger
15
the-
minutes, but she was eating earlier today. But it does trigger that digestive
That was pretty
system.
quick, huh?
Yeah.
Got a lot of room in there.
Believe it or not, these guys are the second loudest primate to the howler monkey. And the
Oh,
noise
really?
they say can travel up to 2 miles.
oh, wow.
That
Keep
vibration noise that
No,
live
not
in
that little low rumble. It's a loud howling bark almost.
Interesting.
So they
Yeah.
live in dense forests, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like a territory call or a danger call to alert the rest of the troop. Their main predator in Madagascar is the fossa. And the fossa is classified as a unique predator to Madagascar. It's kind of feline-esque, kind of civet-esque, kind of weasel-esque. They are arboreal, so they are living up in the treetops where these guys are. And they also are slightly larger than these guys. So the fossa can be anywhere between, I believe it's 18 to like 22 pounds. So they are large enough to take on a full-grown lemur, but they typically will prey on their nests because those are easy picking for them.
Yeah.
With that being said, these guys, like I said, they're an arboreal animal, so they live up in the treetops. The lowest that they're going to build their nest most of the year is going to be about 10 meters. Keep in mind, that's still about 30 feet.
Yeah.
So they do have a super high mortality rate as young. For the first 2 weeks, though, they will go quite low to the ground, which does make them pretty susceptible to other predators.
Well, hi.
They're on a little bit of high alert right now because of all the parrots in the area. So we have these lovely wild green parrots that fly around.
Yeah.
Oh, the Nanjays.
Yeah. And in the wild, there's the Madagascarian eagle, which would have been one of their main predators. So the birds do put them on high alert. I will say for our older troop of lemurs, it did take a little bit longer to get them out into their outdoor enclosure because we did have one lemur in particular that was extremely afraid of peacocks. And we have a lot of free-range peacocks here.
I can imagine.
So it did take a little bit longer to get him out into his enclosure to the point where he was comfortable. But even still, when they come around, he would hoot and holler and stuff. But, you know, he got over it. You guys have any questions about them? I know I go over a lot of
No,
facts
I'm
really
just
fast.
enjoying them.
Yeah.
Feeling them run around.
So they use their tails mostly to counterbalance.
Exactly. Yep. It's not a prehensile tail, so
Yeah.
they can't hold anything with it. You did notice though that, like especially Miss Sandy, she does like to kind of wrap it around you. They use it to kind of like hug, like affectionately, but it's not prehensile, so they can't
Yeah.
hold anything with it.
Right.
They can't hang by it like
Yeah.
a spider monkey can.
Get the flag so long.
Yeah.
Like a squirrel.
All right. So it looks like it is time for me to turn you guys over to Miss Jasmine.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually, Jasmine, I'll take these guys up. Find you short? Yeah. I'll bring you guys inside so you can watch it.
Short?
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna step out into that outer area. I'll be the one